Hello and welcome to the Rogers Brief. I'm Adam Rogers. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you like what you're hearing, please share this with a friend. Let other people know. Share it on social media. That'd be appreciated. And of course, like and subscribe on YouTube. Today I'm going to talk to you about Lisa Banfield, the common law spouse, partner of the gunman Gabriel Wortman, and the question of, will she testify? Now, in a way, it's hard to believe that this is even a question of whether Ms. Banfield would testify at the Mass Casualty Commission hearings. She was the common law spouse of Gabriel Wortman for close to 20 years. They worked together at the denturist clinic in Dartmouth. She was with him on the night of the 18th of April 2020, and certainly for all of those reasons, you would think would be able to provide a great amount of insight into his life, into his motivations broadly, and then specifically on that date. I would have expected her certainly to be among the first to testify and among the most important witnesses in the commission hearings. Then, though things changed, in December of 2020, Ms. Banfield, along with her brother and her brother-in-law, were charged by the police under Section 101 of the Criminal Code with providing ammunition to Gabriel Wortman, ammunition that was at least in part used during the massacre. There have been some adjournments, but Ms. Banfield has entered a not guilty plea, and there's been trial dates set, 5-day trial set for late March, early April of this year, 2022. 5 days is a little long, it would seem, for a judge-alone trial, and that's an important point I'll come back to, is that it is a judge-alone trial, not a judge and jury. As I said, it's a fairly minor charge. The Crown it's a Crown election, which means the Crown can either proceed by summary conviction, which is the less serious version, or by indictment, which is for more serious, longer potential sentence, different rights available to the defendant. So the Crown is elected to proceed summarily, so the maximum sentence would be 2 years in jail, though it seems, given what we've heard, the police are not alleging that Ms. Banfield had any foreknowledge of Wortman's intent, and it wasn't his only source of ammunition either, so there's no causation argument that but for this source of ammunition that things wouldn't have happened. So I compared in my blog piece like a charge under the old drug regime of trafficking, when if a person was to go to a friend's house and planning to consume marijuana, well, just transporting a small, personal amount by vehicle technically would have counted as trafficking, as would even just sharing a joint. But the reality, and practical reality, was that nobody was ever charged on that basis. So I would put this charge in that category. Yes, she may have had some role in providing ammunition to him, but it seems very unusual to charge her for such a minor offense, given the gravity of the situation otherwise. As well, given her status, initially when we heard Miss Banfield's name or her story, it was because she had been abused by Mr. Wortman for many years, and on the night of the 18th. And then she was portrayed originally as a heroic figure because she emerged out of the woods, provided key information to the police that eventually led to Wortman's capture. Now, there have been some questions about Miss Banfield's story from that morning. She emerged from the woods to a neighbor's home, I think Roy Jodry, at 6:30 in the morning. Dramatic story, but she had only very minor injuries. She said she was out in the woods overnight while it was 0 degrees, and she was very lightly clothed, didn't seem to be showing the after effects of that. So there were some questions about that, and Miss Banfield has not spoken publicly either about this. The only things we know are really through court filings that she's made on an estate claim, and some leaks of her statement to the police. She has, for her criminal charge as well, hired a Toronto criminal lawyer, James Lockyer, who's somebody who would be well known among lawyers, certainly. I'm not sure if he would be well known among the general public, but for lawyers, we'd see his name in Lawyers Weekly or Canadian Lawyer Magazine now and again, somebody who's fairly well known. So that decision alone is interesting because Ms. Banfield has a lawyer from Dartmouth, Peter Rumscheid, doing her estate work, her estate claim, and he's from Weldon McGuinness. They have a criminal lawyer there as well, Alex Embry, who I know. I did a trial with him a few months ago, good criminal lawyer. So the fact that she's gone to not only outside of the local area but outside of the province to hire a prominent national criminal lawyer shows perhaps an unusually sophisticated knowledge of the legal marketplace in Canada, and that can raise some questions with people, that alone. Her lawyer has also already in court questioned the likelihood of a fair trial for Miss Banfield just because of some information that's been released as part of the search warrant documents being unredacted through court applications and some of those processes. Judges haven't agreed with the lawyer so far on that point, and I don't think they will further either if they make that attempt. So the trial is scheduled for, as I said, 5 days in late March, early April of this year, and the Mass Casualty Commission hearings, of course, are supposed to start later this month in early February. So what is the concern? The concern would be, from Ms. Banfield's perspective, that she would testify to something at the Mass Casualty Commission hearings, which would then negatively impact her criminal trial. Well, so the request would be, perhaps will be, that either she not testify in the Mass Casualty Commission hearings until her criminal trial has been completed, or that she not testify at all in the Mass Casualty Commission hearings. If she does, now some have alleged now, by the way, that this was a plan by the RCMP, on the theory being that Ms. Banfield may know too much or know information that would be embarrassing or harmful to the RCMP, and so that they've laid this very minor charge on her in an attempt to keep her off the Mass Casualty Commission stand. But anyway, if either the RCMP, Ms. Banfield, or anybody else has a plan to that, to that effect, it's just not going to work. No less than the Supreme Court of Canada has declared on this point of law way back in 1995, actually, and it was a Nova Scotia inquiry that generated the question. It was the Westray inquiry. And 2 mine managers at that time had been charged with manslaughter and with criminal negligence causing death. And they made the application that either the Westray inquiry be delayed until their trial was over, or else that it not happen at all. And the Supreme Court rejected that. They said that no, that inquiries are very much in the public interest, and that there is a very important public interest in all people who are compellable witnesses testifying at the inquiries. And the other protection is that testimony given at the inquiry couldn't be used in the criminal trial anyway, nor could what they call derivative evidence. Now, derivative evidence would be, all right, if you heard testimony and then, okay, now that triggered us to go out and investigate, and now we found something. Well, if the police wouldn't have found that evidence other than because of her testimony at the Mass Casualty Commission, it cannot be used at the criminal trial. So there are protections in place for Ms. Banfield. The Supreme Court of Canada was very clear on the requirement that a person testify even if they have an upcoming criminal trial, and that the public interest requires that. So if Ms. Banfield is planning to make any such request, or if that is the plan of the RCMP or anybody else to try to keep her from testifying at the Mass Casualty Commission hearings, it's simply not going to work. It shouldn't work. I would expect that to be dealt with very quickly by the commissioners if that request is made. And as a result, I would expect Ms. Banfield to be one of the first and certainly one of the most important witnesses of the Mass Casualty Commission hearings when they start up either later this month or early in February. And so we'll wait to hear how that unfolds when it does. And so that's my view on Ms. Banfield and the question of will she testify. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Rogers Brief. And we'll be back before long with more More details setting up the Mass Casualty Commission hearings, which are coming up later this month. Thanks again.